Hello, hello. Welcome for another episode of Market Leader Live. Hey, it's your host with the most, your main man, Darren and Palmer. Excited to be with you today where I bring to you individuals who actually do it. They just don't rent stuff and take pictures in front of it and shoot videos. They've actually been able to create something and build an amazing team to live the life by design and impact others at the same time. Today, I have on my good friend, Rich Mulholland. I'm working on my language. I didn't know I was Scottish there or whatnot, so I'm working on it. But Rich, say hello to the people.
Hello, people. It's fantastic to be here with you.
Awesome. So, Rich, I know some may know you, some may not. But if you don't mind, share with us a little bit about what you do.
All right, so my name is Richard Mulholland. I'm a Scottish-born entrepreneur. I operate out of Cape Town in South Africa. That's why my accent sounds so odd to people, like nobody can ever quite place me. But it's cool. I realize as a public speaker, having an accent always adds to your fee. You're always more valuable. So I never found the place yet where they sound like me, which is great. I basically help people suck less in public for a living. That's my job. We help people who have a story to tell it more effectively.
Awesome. I love that. And, I know the importance of it, but for those who've heard me share before, even in the publishing industry, we have a method with our company called B Squared, book to business. So you have to realize that the book is the appetizer that leads to the main course. So whether that's on stage, whether that's whatever type of business that you're leading people to or whatnot as a funnel, it's important to understand the dynamics of all areas of business when it comes to how it can basically symbiotic flows, how they align with one another for you to be able to get the message out to the right demographics. Now, Rich, you are an expert at this. So I want a lot of those who, you know who you are, those who are tuned into this, you speakers, those who are doing workshops, even C-suite executives, the whole nine. You have to understand the power of your story. So, Rich, what are some steps for those who are looking at utilizing the stage or whatnot? What are some areas where they can start to learn and get better at?
Okay. So let me actually start with one point as well, just for maybe a point of reference for the way we see the world, which seems to be very, very similar to you, Darren. So I think your book is a high authority business card. I have books I've written and their purpose is a high authority business card. They get me to the stage, but if the stage is absolutely not the destination, in fact, it's where most speakers fail, is because most speakers think that their job is done when the mic drops, but absolutely that's not the case, because when you walk off that stage, your job is to turn their audience into your audience. And this is the reason that most speakers' engine stall, because they don't understand the flow that you're trying to get to. So the stepping stones, it's book to stage, or like we say, page to stage, stage to sale. So we want to get you from the page to the stage to the sale. And the second point I want to raise is that if you're a business leader, you're already a public speaker, you're just pretty bad at it. So you're either not doing it, and you should be, you're doing it and you're not doing it well, or you're doing it well. But you don't get to say that you're not, because as a business leader, you don't get permission to not have a voice and have authority. And I think you have to take that. So that's our departure point. And then whether or not you want to get paid for speaking is irrelevant to me, because you either get paid for a talk or you get paid from a talk. Good speakers get paid for their talk. Great speakers get paid from their talk. So that's like my departure point.
Woo! I mean, my man Rich is in Cape Town starting fires over there, man. Come on, Rich. Come on, baby. I love it, man. I love the pizzazz, man. Hey, when we're looking at this is the information that you need to know. You're in it. It's just like your subconscious mind. It's working for you, whether you believe it or not. It's still working. And so that's the same thing that Rich is sharing for those who are tuned in. So for some of you out there who, well, I'm not I'm not Les Brown, or you know what, I'm not Zig Ziglar or anything, or Brian Tracy, any of these guys, Anthony Robbins, Tony Robbins, whatever you want to call it, you still have to understand this, because let's look at it this way. If you are an employee, you're looking at saying, hey, you know what, I want to look at an opportunity for the company to show the value that I have, to look at being able to have a raise, or to work from home, or to take an opportunity in another city or another state. You have to be able to convey that message in the right way to get the desired result that you want. So don't just get caught up with me and Rich is talking about, whether it's just a stage or just speaking. You're speaking regardless. You're looking at persuading or getting an outcome regardless. So take advantage of what Rich is sharing with us, no matter what arena that you're in, no matter what quadrant that you're in, because you can benefit from these tips or whatnot. And Rich, what has been some of the examples or stories of individuals that you've seen that have been able to work with your company and work with your expert advice? And what has been some of the results, how they might have came in, and when they've learned your method, how they've been able to benefit from it, if you don't mind sharing with us?
With the greatest pleasure. I think our first departure point is that people think you have to be good at speaking, right? And so they do compare themselves to these, these great speakers out there. But actually, great speakers are just simply somebody that moves an audience, right? They activate an audience. And our first job is to get people to realize that, because everybody comes in with imposter theory. So our biggest success stories is somebody says, well, I can't possibly be a great public speaker. And then we have people who are basically speaking almost full time. Our space, so generally, is we try to work with a lot of entrepreneurs to help them use stages to drive their business. So our success measurement is not on how many stages you book. That's important for us, but that's like measuring the amount of calls you make. In terms of sales. But what we want to measure is how many customers you gain in as a result of it. So how much business does your business do because you shared authority on a stage? And so that's what we're trying to get people to. That's like the position we're trying to get them towards. Now, to me, speakers are good because of two reasons. One, they have authority. The other is they have ability. So if you have all ability, then you're like this motivational speaker and you can be all you can be and you're amazing. But if you speak with just high authority, I saw J. Craig Fenter speak. He mapped the human genome. And he speaks slowly and technically, but he has so much authority that, have you ever heard those lean in speakers? They're speaking quite slowly. So you actually lean in because your brain wants to try to figure this all out. So we work with all those types of speakers, and our job is not to make you good, right? Our success criteria isn't that you become a version of me. Our success criteria is how can we find inside a person how they can become the best version of themselves, and then how can we grow their authority independent to their ability. And by the way, the answer, if you've got a talk and you don't think you're huge on ability, and you want to grow your authority, or you have ability, you want to grow your authority, the answer is research. Look at people like Malcolm Gladwell, like Darren, I'm sure you know them very well, but these guys are great speakers because of the quality of their research and their ability to tell a story. So
that's good, Rich. And I'm just listening to what you're sharing, Rich, and I just want just to interject for the audience. I mean, pick up what this guy is throwing down here. I mean, this is imperative. You would, okay, let's just use a couple of examples. So Dr. Eric Thomas, E.T. the hip hop preacher or whatnot, we know him for us doing inspirational speaking or motivational speaking all over, but his tone, his voice is totally different than a Malcolm Gladwell, which you just brought up with Rich. But the importance is that with E.T. or Dr. Eric Thomas, he understands his story. He's able to tell the story where he's able to move people because of him being a high school dropout, by him being homeless, by him overcoming the odds and the things he's able to share. He's able to speak with the C word, conviction. So Malcolm Gladwell is able to do the same thing and articulate it in a way because he's not operating with being indecisive. He's able to be decisive for us. He knows what he's talking about. So I believe what Rich is sharing with us too is the importance of knowing. So what Rich brought up earlier, for those who are in the sales industry or whatnot, and you think, okay, I'm just going to knock out 100, 250 calls and hope something stick like someone throwing spaghetti against the wall. But the more that you understand your target demographic and you understand what their needs are, now you don't have to do as many calls, because what you do is you allow yourself to be a credible authority. Now you start attracting the right people that work with, and you can service them and they're receiving something as the law of reciprocity is taking place, and you can benefit as well. Just like with Rich. Rich is coming on here today. Those who are listening to this, you are attracting someone like Rich in your life who you knew this was Achilles heel for you. Now you can benefit with someone who can allow for you not to become Dr. Eric Thomas and be able to, if you want to succeed as bad as you want to breathe, you don't have to do all that. You can allow for yourself to be in your lane, be an authority figure in your industry, or what we call a market leader, and you're able to scale and go to the next level. Do you agree with that, Rich?
Every word. But it's not, it's easier said than done, right? And I get it. Because people do come and they say, oh, but but my story isn't as interesting. And that's why those two examples were so good, the Malcolm Gladwell, the ET, is that on the one, it's their story that inspires you. But Gladwell's books don't talk about Malcolm Gladwell. They talk about other people. And for the vast majority of us, we don't have the position where we can just talk about ourselves. And in fact, when we work with professional sports people or people who are quite famous already, they're trying to run away from that. Because like the one guy I'm working with at the moment is an ex-captain of our national rugby team. In South African terms, that is the highest of the high. But like he doesn't want to go through his 40s and 50s speaking about when he was in his 20s. So he wants to transcend my story and move into his authority. And so this always becomes a challenge. And there's 2 points I want to address. I'll address the one and then we can discuss it and see if we want to do the other. The biggest reason that people fail in this regard is because they start off too high. So if you're trying to introduce your authority, you might say, but I want to talk about marketing. But you can throw a stone and hit somebody else who's a marketing specialist. You've got to be narrower, right? You've got to own a smaller, we say niche, you say niche, right? You've got to own a smaller area that when you look around, there's nobody there. We call this Stopforth's law. In any area that lacks an expert, whoever puts up the hand first becomes the expert. So in March, when nobody knew how to do online events, we immediately launched an event saying how to rock a desktop conferencing, like how to deliver a desktop conference like a pro. I'm going to share with you everything I know about this space. I knew nothing. I sold the tickets and then I read the books on the way and I figured it out and then I presented. But I knew that was an area of authority that I could own. Marketing, eventing, that's too high up there. So people are failing to go down. And if you look at the expert speakers that have figured this out, they own a very, very narrow space. Like Malcolm Gladwell, he owns a 3-letter word, for goodness sake. He owns why. And that corner of real estate in your brain is owned by Simon Sinek, sorry. And Simon Sinek owns those 3 words. Like it's so powerful. And so this is where we're failing. So that's the first thing. And then maybe if we get a chance, we'll talk about what this means to salespeople and how salespeople should do it.
Oh man, I mean, carry on with that, man. I don't want to hold you back. You're on fire, man. So you can go right into that second point, man, because I'm loving this. I'm taking notes myself.
My man. All right, so let's talk about sales. Why most people fail to deliver a good sales presentation is because sales trainers have taught you the wrong way. They've told you to, don't sell features, sell benefits. Nobody cares about your benefits. Let's say you've got an ambulance and you sell ambulances, rides in ambulances. Now, you can sell the features or the benefits of the ambulance and it doesn't matter because nobody cares about your ambulance. What you have to sell is the accident. If you sell the accident, the ambulance sells itself. Most speakers or salespeople or presenters stand up and they tell their story. I don't give a crap about your story. Neither does your audience. Really, for 99% of the time, even inspirational, motivational speakers, it's not about their story because you're not the champion. The champion is in the chair. The sage is on the stage. So you need to understand what role you take on here is that you have 2 jobs. Job number 2 is to help your audience slay their dragon, whatever that is, right? You've got to help them slay their dragon. But job number 1, and this is where we all fail when it comes to sales presentations, is you've got to make sure they see the dragon in the first place. We think we have to build our personal brand, but we actually don't have to build our personal brand. That's difficult. We've got to build the personal brand of the dragon. If I have everybody in the audience thinking, oh no, geez, I don't know how to present online, this is getting terrible, or how can I leverage public speaking? This is scary, it's a scary space and people are failing. If I can make that fear or FOMO big enough for you, and I can just attach my hook onto that, then my brand grows as a result. So we need to, as speakers, make sure that you fill your audience's gas tank first. It stands for give a something. You guys, I don't know where we're at in this show, but you'll figure out what I mean by gas tank. You got to make sure they give a something.
Awesome. I mean, Rich, that's brilliant what you shared. I have a phrase that I go by for those who tune into this. Your pain is your product. The pain is the product. So what Rich is sharing is if you understand the importance of that is a life and death situation, the ambulance will sell itself or whatnot. If you don't get in the ambulance, you die. Nobody doesn't have to force you to get into the ambulance or whatnot, or someone, if it's a loved one, to put that loved one in that ambulance because they know if they want to see them again alive, then that's just the necessary evil that they got to address by putting them in that ambulance. So like Rich brought up earlier, so many of us get caught up in egos and I got more degrees than a thermometer or whatnot, which is not knocking it. But like you brought up earlier, Rich, the people in the audience, they don't care about that. They don't care about that. And I love what you brought up too, that the sage is on the stage, and also the importance of that the hero is in the seat. So if we start being more customer focused or whatnot, and and understand the importance of not just sharing our stories the whole time, but what can help that individual live the life. But most important, let me go back to this, and we'll move on. The awareness helped them see the dragon. I have a friend. He said the thing that woke him up is he was having some health issues, but he didn't take it serious with his eating until he had a doctor that really didn't care about who he was. And he shared with him, do you want to walk your daughters down the aisle? That's what the doctor came in with immediately. The guy's like, whoa, wait a minute. What are you talking about? I thought you were going to show me a CAT scan or something. I thought you was going to bring in, show me some x-rays. What are you talking about? Like, yeah, of course I want to. He said, well, if you keep eating the way that you're eating and doing the things that you're doing, somebody else will walk your daughter down the aisle. Boom.
Boom. That's it.
That's what hit him. He changed his situation around, changed what he was eating, and it still sticks with this guy all the way to today. And this was 20 or 30 years ago. And this guy is still sticking with what happened with that situation. Rich, could you add some more tools for us, some things that the individuals can learn from that lesson, which you just brought up to us?
So I'll give you a framework that you can use when you think of any presentation that you can utilize. Last thing I want to do is be salesy here at all, but just it may be worthwhile mentioning. I wrote an ebook called Story Setter that you're welcome to download. It's free anyway. It's going to be just so you're pre-warned. This will get you on, and then you'll be on my mailing list. So just to be aware. But this kind of covers some of the methodologies, maybe worth mentioning, and specifically around this champion being in the chair and the sage on the stage. I just want to say something here as well. The more effective of those two lines. The one line is, do you want to be there to walk your daughter down the aisle? That's romantic, right? And like I think about it, I think, of course I want to be there. But that isn't petrifying. You know what's petrifying is the second line you said. Another man will walk your daughter down the aisle. That story is full of so many things. That's another man lying next to my wife. That's another man doing these things. There's so much in that all of a sudden I'm like, I don't want any of that to happen. So I think this is so crucial right now. I'm going to share with you a framework, but this is so important right now. And I'll tell you why. Because if I'm doing an in-person event and I'm standing on a stage and I'm speaking, you can't leave, right? You just basically have to stay there. So I own your attention for the 20, 30, or 45 minutes. But if you're doing an online presentation, the first 5 minutes are the trailer, the theatrical trailer for the next 25 minutes of your talk. They decide in those first 5 minutes if they're going to watch. So in those first 5 minutes, you have to sell the problem so much that they feel that if they leave, there's something at stake. So our methodology is very, very simple for all presentations. Now, I'm not saying this is the only structure you can use, but I'm saying it's one that will always work. Step number one, give your audience a reason to care. Okay, that's your first step in any presentation. Give your audience a reason to care. Step number two, give them a reason to believe. Okay, so now I care about this problem. You're right, this exists, but why should I trust you? This isn't long, okay? You don't have to go into lots of detail. This is only a few reasons. If I'm doing a presentation on why you should trust me as a presentation specialist, I might say, we were asked by TED to train their TED speakers. We've worked with some of the leading organizations around the world. We run World's Best Presentation. We run World's Best Templates. And I've spoken myself in over 30 countries on 6 continents. And then I'll move on. That's all I need, not a CV. Other pro tip, get the MC to do that job for you, right? Because like you shouldn't have to tell yourself, you can get that covered there. So we've got give them a reason to care, give them a reason to believe. Then we've got tell them what they need to know, right? And this is the bulk of your presentation. And it's usually 3 steps, 3 or maybe 5 points. We refer to this as your legacy list. It is the product that exists when you get off stage. Top tier speakers can have other people go and deliver their talks because it's not about the speaker, it's about the talk. People are buying a methodology. And that's where you want to get to. You want to get to the point where other people are accredited to do your talks and you're paid for lying in bed. And then step number 4, and this is what everybody misses. You know, the Greeks, they talk about logos, pathos, and ethos, but no, they don't talk about ergos, which is action. And step number 4 is tell them what they need to do. If you don't tell your audience what they need to do, then you're just like a documentary. They will finish watching and they'll say, that was nice. It's why I hate the idea of entering your speech with thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, blah, 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 build up. Thank you. I would never do that. I will call to action. You've got to do this and you've got to make this happen. And if you do this, this will happen. But if you fail to do this, that other man will walk your daughter down the aisle. So I want to ask you, do you want to lead loud? And then I'll leave on that. So you've got to drive them to an action. And that action is the smallest single thing that they can do. That you're not trying to get them to buy anything at this point. You're trying them to make the smallest micro decision, which is the baby step that creates motion of them moving to the destination you want them to get to. So that was a longer answer than I was intending on giving, but I got all excited.
Hey, man, hey, keep getting excited, brother, because, man, you're dropping value bombs on us today. And I love the action plan. And I want to bring this up because, Rich, you have been one of the individuals who are leading in this space, and I believe that what's unique about your content compared to others is that for most people, they think that they have a business, but they don't have a business, and especially for those who are in the speaking arena, they're just running around. Some of them might get compensated, but really they're just running around on planes back and forth when you could travel, and in and out of hotels or whatnot, and a lot of them are broken. But when you bring up the methodology of creating the methods that is bigger than just that personality that's on the stage, that now it can be contract or outsourced to other people to share that remedy or that relevance to others who can benefit from it while you're at home. Now that's a model. Now that's a McDonald's with the French fries or whatnot. You can have a kid that's 15 years old or whatnot come in and be able to run a fryer because the system, the methodology or whatnot. So, before we close out, because I want to address this, Rich, what allowed for you to understand that that was a gap? Because most people don't talk about that. And I know you understand systems. So what allowed for you, or how are you implementing systems to help the people that you work with have an actual business instead of running around like the road runner without a business and ended up being broken if they don't get a speaking engagement?
So I wish I could tell you this beautiful romantic story about this moment of genius, but it was purely that my ego got in the way for too long. I have tattooed on my arm here is FYP. The second 2 letters stand for your pride. I'll let you figure out what the first one stands for. And the reason was, when I started speaking, I went from going in, I'm the salesman for my business, right? So I started a presentation company when I was 22. I'm 45 now, and when I started it, I would go out and I'd do a big sale. People would give us money and it would feel amazing. But then one day I started doing a speaking gig and I did this talk and it paid me a lot less money, but the money came straight to me and people cheered, like literally cheered. And I thought, oh, and it was like a drug. I don't smoke, I don't drink, I don't take drugs, but the drug of getting people cheer for you and paying you for your thoughts is so seductive. So I got so turned on by that I started doing all of these talks. But I was growing my reputation, but my business started suffering. And so for a long period of time, I was arguing that actually the worst thing I ever did for my business was start public speaking. And Samantha, our managing director, she challenged me on this and she said, well, that can't be true. Then you must just be doing something wrong. Like this can't be, this doesn't make any sense. And when I thought about it, as my ego, I would want to be the smart guy. So my first book is called Legacide. It's on legacy thinking. It's not about presentation, it's about something else. And it was only then I realized, well, hold on a second. I must become okay with being the expert in my space, because then there's a downstream effect. So my second book is called Boredom Slayer, and it's about, a professional speaker's guide to presenting, because I wanted to start speaking about my own area of authority. This is a mistake a lot of speakers do, is they speak about areas that there's nothing to be hired for afterwards. So you're breaking the chain. And as soon as I realized that, I thought, this is absolutely ridiculous. Why am I have a limited amount of, you're paying me with attention and you're giving me a limited amount of your attention and I'm using it for my ego instead of using it for my business. As soon as I changed that mindset, as soon as I thought, well, I'm only going to speak about my area of authority, and I'm going to know, and I never want to do salesy presentations. Oh, if you call now, you could do this. But I want to be so effective that people want to engage with me afterwards. And so I spoke about that area. I decided to become passionate about a narrow space. And when that happened, everything changed. So last year I earned 6 figures for my talk, but I earned 7 figures from it, because the amount of, it just takes one customer to engage with me after a talk, and I earn more than my speaking fee, which is already pretty good. So one extra customer, and you're speaking to 100,000. I did a gig earlier this year where I spoke to 7,000 people. I mean, it's an unfair advantage that we've been given, and many of you aren't using it.
Woo, man. Now, I want to be the one who engage you. I need you to take action. What are you going to do to take action or whatnot to live on purpose and have legacy? So, Rich, please, man, share with our audience, because I know you're here to serve, you're here to help people. And I don't want people to get upset and start throwing something at the screen because I didn't give them information. We will have all this information in the show notes as well. But where can they go to connect with you, whether it's to purchase the books or learn about programs that you have? Please share any information that you have, my friend.
Thanks so much. First of all, and again, I categorically mean this, you can just ask me questions on LinkedIn and I'll share with it. One day, if we do business, that's amazing, but I'm very happy for it to be by accident. If you go to getrich.af, again, I don't know, maybe all my things have some take on bad words, so use that as you will, but getrich.af, that has a link. It's one of those link farms. So it has links to all my social profiles. Definitely the one I'm the most active on is LinkedIn. I know a lot of people don't like it. I find it high value. I really enjoy the content there. I don't think social media is social media. I think it's mercantile media, it's business media, so it should be used accordingly. But all my links are on there. You'll also find links to all my books. As you swipe over, you'll find links to my YouTube channel, which basically nobody subscribes to. It's like 3,000 people. So if I get one subscription out of it, it would be incredible. And then you can also learn about our Story to Stage program, which is the program in which we work with speakers to help them build their speaking engine. That's this one. This one here that's up there. So, awesome. So that's at storytostage.co if you wanted to go there directly. But you can find links to everything there, or just reach out and say hi on any of the socials.
Man, Rich, I'm telling you, man, this has been value packed with the content that you've shared with us. For those who are out there, man, I got all kind of stuff on my sheet over here. I mean, I took notes. So I'm going to be honest. I can be a little bit selfish on this episode. So if you didn't get anything out of this episode, shame on you, because I mean, Rich has definitely did a wonderful job of empowering us and also equipping us with tangible steps that we can take immediately to change what we're doing. I mean, whether you are a stay-at-home mom, whether you own an insurance branch, this content is universal if you will use it. So let's make sure that we engage. Let's make sure that we go on LinkedIn and connect with Rich. Let's go to the websites that he gave us the information on. We will have those in the show notes for those who are tuned into this. And Rich, I can't wait, man, until we're able to travel again, man. Either we can get together in the States, or even I got some connects in Cape Town as well. So I would love to be able to connect with you in the future. So let's make sure we stay in contact, brother.
I am 100% holding you to it. And in fact, I'm holding you to, we're going to have a lunch and a coffee off air soon. I'm going to make sure we get that set up just so we can talk some more. I've thoroughly enjoyed myself here. And I guess the parting call for me would be, you spoke about whether you're a housewife or anything. Nobody knew any of the famous speakers before they did that first talk, and maybe you're just one talk away from being the next Brené Brown, or so you have no excuses, or there are only excuses. You have no reasons.
You have no reasons, and since you brought that up for our audience, just to show you that I can attest to what Rich just shared, that Brené Brown was my aunt's sociology teacher for her master's degree. We met her. She's just a regular professor at that college. No one never knew or had a clue. Even her cohorts didn't even understand that she would have that level of success. And just what Rich just shared, it was that one move, that one speech, that one thing that she did, that she continued to move and grow on, that allowed for her to be the behemoth brand that we see today. So Rich, I'm giving, I'm sharing my story, my testimonial about what you just shared there, that people don't even know that I know that lady. But definitely follow Rich, get the content, take your life to the next level. Until next time, if you want change, be the change. Be blessed and be great. Thanks for coming on, Rich.
Anytime. Thanks so much for having me.
Awesome.